Welcome to Soulful Living. I'm Dr. Jane Mountrose, your host, and I'm here today with our special guest, Angele Boudreau. And I'm excited about her strategy that we're going to be discussing, which is understanding yourself as a whole, body, mind, and spirit. Soulful Living provides practical keys and solutions for creating more joyful, meaningful, and prosperous life. First, an overview. With 3 decades of experience in the fields of holistic life coaching and healing, my husband Philip and I are also published authors, trainers, coaches, and founding directors of the International Association of Holistic Practitioners, IAHP. IAHP is part of Awakenings Institute, a nonprofit organization dedicated to creating a more loving world where the unique gifts that each individual brings are honored and nurtured. Each Sunday, we discuss a single spiritually focused strategy for living more soulfully. As mentioned, today's strategy is understanding yourself as a whole, body, mind, and spirit. We hope you can join us often and start your week off well with fresh ideas that you can use to live more soulfully. And now I'm pleased to tell you a little bit about our beautiful guest here, Angele. I'm delighted actually to introduce Angele Boudreau. I originally got to know Angele some years ago as a student of ours and when she was ordained as a minister through our Awakenings Institute. At home in Ontario, Canada, Angele owns and operates 2 home-based businesses. The first is as a holistic therapist, and the second is as a registered psychotherapist, both specializing in trauma-based referral cases. She currently holds a Bachelor of Divinity degree from Awakenings Institute in Spiritual Counseling and a Master's in Holistic Therapies. From there, she is now continuing with her PhD, which is coming up right now. And Jill's credentials are quite impressive, but they only touch on the surface of her profound skills and her beautiful heart. Her mission involves helping individuals to regain their lives through the career that has been shown to her, which focuses on today's topic, understanding oneself as a whole, body, mind, and spirit. Recent areas of interest include heading into a community of medical physicians as a hypnotherapist, an area where many astounding results have occurred and opened the eyes of the medicinal world. Angele perceives illness as an outburst of the body's unwellness. This is part of our planet's development as disease happens when the mind, body, and spirit become unbalanced. True wellness is reached only returning the entire being into harmony. This is her goal, to help people to rediscover wellness from a holistic and psychotherapeutic perspective, so new awareness can flourish and grow into a firm foundation for well-being for all of humanity. As you can probably tell, I'm a big fan of Angele's. She's very special. So would you like to start, Angele, by telling us a bit more about yourself and why today's topic is so important to you?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for that beautiful introduction. I'm so honored to be with you today, being with you and what you stand for. And it's that part of really understanding what we're all about as human beings on this planet and taking ourselves to a deeper level. And once we start understanding what we're all about, boy, we are awesome beings. But you know what? There's that part of, society takes us out of that and we sort of kind of forget ourselves because, especially in the women's world, we're so busy giving, making sure everybody around us is okay. And again, it's that part of forgetting who we are. We know what everybody else holds. So how about we start finding out about what we hold within? And it's the beauty part of understanding again what we can attain as a human being, and that is just us understanding what we hold within, and that's just pure love. And that part of pure love is the key to success in everything in life, right? Once we center and work from our heart area. but there's a little but I'm going to put in here now. So how about we start right off in that part of understanding again what we're all about, but in different sections. So body, mind, and soul area. So I usually use, that triangle. I put body, I put mind, and I put soul, and we're very familiar with this. We've seen it. It's not something that's new, but when we start diving into these three different aspects, it's like a manifestation comes out of it. So again, by me starting on that mind aspect, it's really understanding that it's all up here. The mind, we make all of our decisions up here. We're taught this, right, in society. So when we're in that mindset, there's that area that we usually go to, and it's that logical part, being logical. So it's the why, where, how, when, what, and who. We're so busy trying to get all of those answers in order to be balanced. But you know what? If we're just balanced up here, it's good. But what happened to the body and to the soul? We're so up here in this area here. And it's that part again, it's that logic part, but we also have the other side of the brain, which is the emotional part. But a lot of people don't function from that side, right?
Right.
So when we start understanding mind, again, it's that beautiful area where we're experts in it. When I receive a client sometimes and they're in trauma-based lifestyle, well, that's another subject, but when somebody's not well, it's most of the time, it's their mind. That has sort of kind of it goes on its own sometimes. So this is what it does. It'll start by a line, then it goes to sentences, goes to paragraphs, and then it goes into a book, and then it goes into a series. It goes into a series. And this is that part where we can make life its own belief, but when it becomes not healthy, that's that part to understand that something else happens. Now we're going into body mode. The body mode is going to absorb anything that whatever the mind has made itself believe, and then the body gets into this area where it says, okay, something's going on here. I'm going to have to give you a little signal. And this is where depression comes in, anxiety. And these are just little, not touchy areas, but you know what? We're seeing a lot of depression, anxiety, and fear of going on in the body part, because now the body starts reacting. So we have a mindset, then we have a body reacting because of what the mind is making the body believe. So again, when that body starts reacting, that body feels. The mind doesn't feel, okay, but the body does.
Right. Yeah.
So
well,
when
ill.
exactly,
Yeah.
it's out of balance, right? But you know what? Most of the time, a lot of people don't get that area, because sometimes they'll just maybe take a pill. It helps for sure, but take the pill away, the depression or the anxiety is still going to be there. So it's like, you know what, today we're really going to learn into how to handle that and balance that out as a human being, because you know what, in the times that we're in right now, a lot of people are reacting. We're all reacting. We're just doing it differently.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I interject something here?
Absolutely.
I think a holistic approach, obviously, to us is like, I think the most objective approach that you can take to healing, to understanding our evolution, to the whole thing, because it is, we have a body, emotions, mind, and spirit.
Yep.
And I was thinking about it today with this topic coming up. When I first became familiar with the idea of the aura and, different layers of energy, and also how energy moves into the body, I used to think, which I think many people probably still do, that the aura was a reflection of the body. And I think what you were saying actually, and what is actually the case, is that energy moves in from the spirit through the mind and the emotions into the body. So the body is actually a reflection of what's happening on these other levels of our reality rather than the cause. So,
Mhm.
like you were saying, if you're experiencing stress, it's going to be reflected in the body and
Absolutely.
in your outer world. Everything is connected and everything has meaning.
It sure does. It sure
So
does.
it is when you start to look at it from that perspective and see how the thoughts that you're having, and we have some people estimate somewhere around 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts every day
Hmm.
going through our heads, which is why we're so confused.
Absolutely. Well,
It's just,
you're so
and
right.
that's reflecting, all of it's reflecting down into our body and into our outer world. It's just, then everything when you understand that, then everything changes.
It sure does. It's that part of understanding, we have the ears. That's our sensing department, right? And
Hmm.
it's how we analyze things. It's like, okay, whatever situation that we're in, we need to really start understanding, well, hey, you know what? I need to take on just my environment, not the world. It's us that has that area of empowerment to really change the world by taking us on first. It's not
Hmm.
taking the world on. It starts all by us, and it's all individualization. And once we start understanding that, just our energy, the aura that's being pushed out, it's like, oh, I'm so calm around you. Wow. And we're having that effect. Well, then they take the same strategies on as like, we're having an impact, and the outcome can be
Right.
tremendous. And we can change an entire community. We can change just what's going on our street
Hmm.
just by us understanding that. Yeah.
If we can emanate love, it makes a difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as we keep on really understanding the difference between mind and body, that mind is the thinking mode. We're thinkers, right? When we start understanding children, in the children where I do a lot of counseling with children, I love children because they're you know what? I always compare them. I'm going to say they're smarter than I am because they do something that I don't. I'm doing it, but in society, we're thinkers again. Adults become thinkers, but children, and we've all been a child. So this is the cool part.
That's true.
We were there, but a child feels, does not think. They feel their environment and they know how to navigate in life. Again, they only do it for maybe 7, 8 years until they're told to, you got to go up here and it has to make sense. Because if it doesn't make sense, well, guess what? You're out. Your opinion doesn't count, right? So again, when we start understanding that, we need to reverse that. It's the part of reversing that our body, we want to allow it to feel instead of working from here. And up here, which is our mindset, it's beautiful. When we hear that line, and we all know this one, mind over matter. Mind over matter, that is showing the amount of empowerment that we have in our mind. And with our mind, we can manifest anything of our desires, right? But when we start looking and understanding that the body is going to start getting weaker and weaker, because we can't be in mindset all the time. We have to balance that out. We got to go in that body mode, because in the body mode is that cool part of what lives in our heart center. So by starting to utilize the body first, again, when I say reverse, it's like, what am I talking about? It's that part of really that most of us have a shut down body. So it's like whatever we absorb is coming through here first. We have our own analysis of what happened to us in any challenging moment in our lives. But it's our body that starts absorbing everything going on. So what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we actually say, the power of words, has a huge impact on our bodies. And that's the part to understand, that the absorption, that's what causes diseases. That's what causes conditioning of a body like fibromyalgia. I work with a lot of clients with fibromyalgia, and that is just the state of having too much trauma in the body that starts surfacing to the top. because that's what
Mm-hmm.
it is, fibro. It's like having aches and pains to a higher degree, or even putting a blanket on a client of mine could be so painful. So again, understanding that it's the body that's reacting. So its nerve endings are screaming out to say, mind, please balance me out so we can start feeling, so that we can balance and work with each other instead of
Right.
working against, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, and
that
I
body,
think where you started, if you're when the mind is basically working on autopilot, when we're not actually looking
yep,
and focusing on what is coming into us through our thinking,
exactly.
then we're really not reaching our full potential. And I think that's where you're going, is that what we want to do is have that possibility of actually elevating our perspective so that everything
Exactly.
is going to function better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The more that we understand ourselves at that higher degree, we're able to implement, well, what is my body in need of doing? What does it need? How can I nurture myself in order to balance myself out? And most of the time, it's the body that needs the nourishment, either physical nourishment, emotional, mental, all these areas, they all have their place in that triangle. And it's that place again of really understanding what we're all about and how special we are. We all hold something different, each and every one of us on this planet. And it's how we see things. And there's also 3 levels to understanding what we see. That's literal. So we're going to have our own opinion, our own view on that. And then that's the minimal area where people are going to say, yep, I see a flower. So let's just say, I'm going to give you a rose. Let's take that for an example. Giving you a rose. Well, it's just a rose, right? Let's go down deeper to what that rose is really holding on to. What's the symbolism of the rose? And that's us looking at ourselves at a deeper level, but we're too busy. We're in the literal world. That's the 3D world. So again, going back to the rose, looking at that at a symbolism. What's the symbolism of the rose? Love, right? Love, it symbolizes love. When we get even deeper, that 3rd level is the mystical or the magical world. What does that rose actually do? What does it do? When we give it to someone, what is that going to do to that person? Do you know?
I,
If,
you're asking me to
yeah,
answer?
I'm asking you. Yeah. So if I'm giving, let's just say I give you a rose, what's that going to do to you?
But it would make me feel good. Although thinking about it, I was thinking we're subjective.
So
Someone might
true.
say, well, the last time I saw roses like that was when I was at my mother's funeral, and then they would
True.
go down. Or they might say, well, I hate roses. They have those thorns, and I was pricked by one of them when I was a child, and so I hate roses. I know what you're
True.
saying. It is
Yeah.
the if
That's
you're
the that
you-
that
and
literal part.
that's where we get in our way.
Exactly. The
Don't allow
mind gets in the
ourselves.
way.
Right.
So
Right.
true.
So, I mean,
So
for me, I love roses. I think I
yeah,
love,
they're
when you talk about it also, I feel like I can almost smell it. It's just like this beautiful,
exactly.
beautiful fragrance of the
Hmm.
rose.
And when we look at that rose in nature, they've tested it. As you know, it's the highest vibrational connotation of love. It just vibrates love. The rose. Again, sorry, I'm picking on roses, but it's the beauty. So understanding that we are that rose and we have to give ourselves to ourselves, really understanding in that heart center that it's not the literal way of seeing ourselves. It's what we're seeing right from our heart. What am I all about? What do I have to offer? What's my worth? What's my self-esteem? What's my self-confidence in all of this? And
Hmm.
that's where the miracle begins, because when we get into that soul area, or that part of where it's actually encased in the heart, it's understanding that that heart contains an actual physical, it's an organ, right? It's the heart pumps, da da da. It's physical, the literal part of what the heart does. But then when we look at that emotional part of the heart, what is it holding? Oh my goodness, it's holding love. It contains it. And that's not something like, oh, geez, how do I give love? It's free. It's just there. It's the being, it's the presence. And when we look again at that emotional part, it's understanding that the spiritual is the holding of everything. And that heart center connects with the body, connects with the mind, and then you manifest. And that triangle, which is 3 sides, there's something wonderful that happens. When we connect those 3, we become whole. But then once we start understanding, it turns into an actual, geez, can I make a square?
Sort of.
It makes a square because out of that triangle, it turns into a square, understanding that those 4 squares hold body, mind, spirit, but that added corner, that's the part of identity. Because when we say body, mind, soul, we're just looking at humanity, we're looking at human beings. But when we take that on the personal level and we take on those 3 areas of understanding, this is where we transform into what we have manifested, because we're taking that time for ourselves. That's meditation. That's that area of going down deeper. And that actually takes on silence, right? That inner silence. And in order to start that meditation part, it's really understanding that we need to go quieten down this area. And I have a lot of clients that I say, we need to go in there and we need to shut that light switch off because this is chugging. It goes off. But really, again, to take the aspect on and really say, I really do need to go shut this off so that I can put my body on and let it do its connection. And meditation, as you know, is that connection of soul that starts rising, goes into mind, goes into third eye, and then poof, connects in the crown. And then your entire aura is just shining, right? That part. Oh, and when I start getting into this, like, oh my God, here she goes. So this is the fun part, really understanding how we are in the numbering system to really, really understand that that triangle holds 45 degrees in each corner, right? That is a
60 degrees.
For a triangle, it's 45. Each angle is 45. Okay, I guess we're gonna have to do research.
Well, an equilateral triangle is 60, 60, 60.
60,
have,
so
yeah, 40, you'd have, if you have 45 and 45, then the other one is 90. But I mean, it just depends on what kind of triangle
okay, let's go
want.
to that. Hey, this is part. I make mistakes too. Hey, I'm a human being. So if we're looking at 60, it's still gonna work out. 60 times 3 corners gives you 180, right?
Right.
So when we do 1, we want to break this down to a single number. When we do 1 plus 8 is equal to, plus 0 is equal to 9, we're getting that perfection. That perfection is that number of who we are, because 9 is that complete number that becomes us, which is us. When we take it to the square, so I have a little picture here. Whoop. So forget the 45, we're gonna have to put 60. So when we see that 90 in each corner, so when we go 9 times 4 is 36. When we do that 360, sorry, when we do 3 plus 6 plus 0 is equal to 9 again. Again, it's the perfection, the number of perfection, understanding that that 4th corner, that's our identity, our individuality. And then when we look at that circle, we're actually looking at 360 degrees in a circle, right? Which again is equated to 9. So when we look at this, we get this picture here.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And that's to prove who we become when we take ourselves on in the wholeness of who we are. And that is the Vitruvian man from Da Vinci, right? And that's in the medical world. So when we go back to that circle, when we go back to that square, when we go back into that triangle, they all interfit into each other. They just integrate. And this is where we actually get to birth ourselves. And this happens at any age, but it's that part of connecting with body, connecting with mind, and connecting with soul. So when we look at the complete circle, oh, look at that.
She just has to be up here.
She has to be there, right? That's wonderful. So when we get into that circle state, that's completeness, that's wholeness. And I'm going to even add on to that, that when we have that circle, and then we put that little dot in there.
Yeah. I'm listening.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's fine. It's not an issue at all. You had a beautiful visitor, right?
Right. She's insistent today.
That circle and putting that little dot in there brings us back to us, because that's creation. That dot is when those cells, again, in the circular world, got together to make us creation. Creation in the dark part of who we are. So when we start looking inside of us, it's that dark part where we get to create. Wow. How cool is that? That blows me away. Understanding.
So for someone who wants to take this as a tip or a strategy, what would you suggest that they do? Well,
first of all, it's being able to get out of mind. That's number one, because we're experts in this world, and the percentage that we operate off, or a society operates off, is like 90% and up. That's how high that is, because everything is lived up here, right? So we want to turn that off. Number one is turning that off. And then getting into a beautiful sacred space, or a space you know that will be yours for the amount of time that you really want to do relaxation. And once we start utilizing that body, it's understanding that it is the breath of life that we start taking in, and it's going to actually relax our body from any type of anxiety going on, any type of fear going on, any type of depression. Nope, it doesn't work first time, but the more you practice, the more your body's going to get used to it. It's going to say, you're going to use me. I'm going to give you the best of what I have. And once we start actually listening to the body, wow, we get magic that starts coming up. We're connecting with the messages that we're going to receive from the outer world, the universe, the source, whomever we're connecting with. And when it starts coming through, it's like, whoa, what happened? I heard that, or I felt that, or I seen that. All of our clairs start connecting, and it's the beauty, it's the miracle of life, it's the miracle of what we're all about. So really understanding that it is the breath, because we're starting to work the body. And
when I do guided visualizations, we always start with just breathing, because just breathing and becoming aware of bringing the breath into the body takes your focus out of the mind,
exactly.
the normal way of being in the world, into the body.
Absolutely.
And then, like you said, then it starts to relax it, and you can I even ask the thoughts in my head. Sometimes I'll just send energy into my mind and just ask the thoughts to relax for now. And I imagine them drifting off in little bubbles, like cartoons.
Absolutely.
And it's so easy. It's very simple, just to shift, to make that shift. And like you said, the more you do it, the better it gets, because you can. It is any time of day you can just take a break from what you're doing. Absolutely. And relax for a moment, just a few breaths. And like you were saying, the more you do it, the more powerful it becomes. And just sitting and taking a few breaths can completely change your state and bring you into the moment.
It
Which is the
does.
other thing is we're in the future, we're in the past, we're all over the place, everywhere except for where we are.
Exactly. And that's the key word right there, Jane. It's getting us in the moment because we're so forgetful because we're so busy with life and moving forward. But what
Mm-hmm.
happened to the now? Like we're not even in the
Right,
now, right?
right. And the
So,
most powerful place to be is in the moment, in your
oh,
body. So,
absolutely. Because we receive everything. And this is when the actual healing begins because once we start connecting to that soul area, or I'm going to say right to the heart area, that heart has the ability to take on what we call the healing mechanism because it sends out so many the healing energy. And again, but it has to be taking the time for yourself, who does that, right? I'm sure a lot of listeners do that. They're into that zen of understanding, but it's up to us to share this. It takes a couple of minutes to share. And I did want to do a little meditation if we would be able to.
yeah, yeah. Why don't we do that now?
Yeah, yeah. But before what time is it? Ooh, are we over?
It's the top of the hour. Well,
Oh my goodness.
we don't have an over or under exactly.
Okay.
It's a kind of a casual show.
Okay, okay. Well, just before I do meditation, I just wanted to end with how important that heart center is because this is the actual enlightenment of all of this. So it's like we want to put that in spotlight is that heart area. When we start actually breaking down the word heart, Heart, when we start understanding that we get here, those are the first letters right here. And then we have ear. So we got to hear what our heart is saying through our ears. And then when we break down the ART, the art, we are the artwork of our heart. Man, we are special. And once we understand that at that deeper level, so that's the magical, never mind the mystical, it's not just the heart. I mean, never mind the literal part. We need to go deeper. So we really need to take care of our heart physically, mentally, emotionally, so that the full impact of who we are can be just thrusted out, being like the rocket that we were supposed to be. Remember, at kids, filled with energy, going all over the place and being you. This is what this is all about, being you. So really, again, I always say, take it on, take yourself on, because you're the one. You're the only one who's able to take yourself on. We can get supported, we can get pushed, we can get motivated, but it's us at the end that needs to do it for us. We need to allow ourselves. We don't need to do anything about it. It's that allowance piece. Once we allow that, whew, we are a magical person. We're all awesome. And I'm so happy everybody's out there listening. I talk a lot, sorry. Hopefully you could, I'm apologizing for the 45. It's 60. But really look into that, guys. Really look into that numbering system, how we are and where we come from. It's like, whew, we're pretty awesome beings. And especially living in the times that we are, wow, we got something special to share. Share it with yourself first, share it with your loved ones, and pass it on because it's free. Everything is out there is free when it comes to love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay, Jane, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, sis, if everyone is able to, wherever you're at, make sure your feet are on the ground because number one is being well grounded and really understanding that we just want to go to our mindset right now and just to go shut it off. So we're going to start off by doing 10 deep breaths. I'll be counting. You don't need to count. I'll count for you. So when I stop, I'll let you know. Just relax. And then we're just going to do this lovely little scene and then I'll wake you all up. Okay, here we go. So let's start off with those nice breaths, nice and deep. So here we go. Make sure you turn that mind off. 3 more. Just allow that beautiful peace of the breath that just went through your entire body. Allow that calmness, that peace of mind just to enter, relaxing those shoulders, your back, your hips, just sinking into whatever you're sitting in, or perhaps lying down. Let it go down to your knees, down to your ankles, feeling it right to your toes. Understanding what you're all about, how special you are, that you really are that flower of whatever you're connecting with. Imagine a beautiful flower that you connect with, any color of your choice. Look right into it right now. Smell it. If you want to smell, or just feel that flower, all in your imagination. And you're actually looking at you, how beautifully made that flower is how beautifully made you are. Going deep down into that flower and really understanding how special you are, how pure you are, and how awesome you are as a person, male or female. We are all one. We all play that role in the collective of understanding what love is all about. It's free and it costs nothing. Don't ever forget, you have the ability to create your own world and body, in mind and in soul. Take yourself again, one last look at that flower, and really taking it on as that is me. Love that flower, love yourself for who you are and to whatever you want to become. Take yourself on, because you're able to do whatever your heart desires. As we move our fingers and our toes, keeping that flower as our image now, but it has to be your flower and your flower only that you want to keep imprinted inside of your soul. Open up your eyes when you're ready. And don't forget that flower, guys. That's what you're all about. That's you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Saw a big white rose, and it
That's
just surrounded
beautiful.
me.
Yes,
Felt very
yes.
good.
Awesome. It was very amazing to be on your show with you, Jane, and
Oh,
all
thank
to
you.
your audience out there that are so special.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's so interesting. We complicate things. Our
Oh,
minds
yes.
complicate things, and our focus with Awakenings Institute is on love, because love, it's like love is the answer.
It
And
is.
if you can be in the moment and breathe love through your body, it changes everything.
It
And,
really
and it's
does.
it's just so simple.
It is. It's the ABCs, right? The
Right.
ABCs. Yeah, yeah. So taking ourselves back as children because we had it, we felt it, we knew it. And when we start retraining, wow, it becomes awesome. Oh my, I feel that. I really felt that. Or I heard that. I really heard that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just focusing on a different center because again, this is overly censored.
Right. Well, it's interesting, for people who are watching, listening to this right now, if you point to yourself, just like right now, point to yourself,
Yeah,
and,
we
and
go
you can't
straight
see.
there, eh? Yeah, right
People,
there.
99% of people will point right to their heart area.
Exactly.
We identify ourselves with our heads,
So
but
true.
something in us understands,
Yeah.
the truth of who we are is in the heart.
So it's the actual soul that's speaking on your behalf, right? It says, no, no, don't go there. Go here.
Right, you go. No,
Yeah.
let's go here.
Oh.
And it is, just having that opportunity, or just taking the opportunity to just breathe in the moment, and especially breathing love into your heart.
Oh, it just takes right
It's
over.
very powerful, right?
It is. It is. And for the audience out there that, this is a challenge, take it on because when I started, it was like, how do I shut my mind off? Oh my goodness. You know what? It's a beautiful training. It's like, okay, but you need to be really gentle with yourself. Okay, we're now going to shut the mind off. And you know what? If it does go off, which it will, because it's part of who we are. But when we start practicing and allowing ourselves to get in that moment, it's like, hey, we know exactly where we're going. So the mind says, okay, I want to go there too.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah,
shuts off because it's going to receive, right?
right.
It's
And
going
that's
to
part of it
receive.
too, is that the mind and the heart are not functioning
That's
together.
right.
They're not
That's right.
coherent, you might say. And when you bring them into coherence, then the mind does
Oh,
cooperate. And
it
just
does.
it well, there's a lot you can say about how you can bring your mind to a point of cooperating. But another thing that I've always done and recommend to people in that area is, as you start breathing, just ask the mind to relax for a few moments, telling it that it can come back and analyze what you're doing later, because it wants to do
Absolutely.
that. The rational mind wants to analyze, and it wants to be there analyzing, every
Absolutely.
minute. But if you ask it, okay, just give us a little break now,
Mm-hmm.
let those thoughts drift off for a moment. We're going to relax here. And after we're done, you can think about it all you want and tell me what you want about it. But for now,
Exactly.
we want to have the experience. And that really works for me, because I have a very active mind. And
Mm-hmm.
it has been, for me
Well,
at
we want
least.
it to be active. It's
Right.
good. And we
Right. But
really
we want
want
it to
it.
be active in a way where we
Not
are
in
in
that.
control, not on
Exactly.
autopilot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what? Another great example is really looking like the captain on the ship. He needs to go to where his wheel is, but he's in water, so he needs to navigate that. So feeling that flow, he needs to go with the flow, and he can't be all up here. He has to go with the flow, with nature, with the stars, right? So he's so connected in all these
Mm.
areas and being that master of our own ship, it's going to that heart center and really taking on the flow. And where it takes us, it's like, ooh, watch out, because you can go to wonderful places, right? It's the flow. It's letting the flow go. And having fun with it. Having fun with it. That's what it's all
Hmm.
about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enjoying
And that's
life.
another thing, not taking yourself too seriously. Just
Oh my
enjoy it. What
goodness.
the heck?
Hey, well,
Or like
we're great.
children, children play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Filled with energy and just having fun. Again, I always say having fun with life because it's like you get to open up and go into your playground, your own playground. Woo! You get to use every single apparatus, and a lot of people are stopped by that because they're limited, right? I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, you know what? Take on that area of healing, do your work, or go see somebody who's able to help you, and whew, you get to open up your door and you get to play with anything that your heart desires when it comes again to your playground. So
Right.
very, very powerful. Very, very
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. The inner work is really worth doing.
It
It changes
is.
everything.
It sure does. It sure
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, we're both in agreement about that.
Oh, yes,
In our work.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. Okay. So, anything else you'd want to add, Angel, before we
Um,
finish it?
well, I think I'm good from my end, but well, you know what about that heart? You know that the word art, you know that art, how we are that artwork, and really understanding about the music that we can play with our heart and its presence. It's the energy of the beauty of being, and that's our art. Play with your artwork, play with it, because it reveals many things in manifesting and transforming, like actually becoming whatever your heart desires, either being a career or a role that you're playing in a relationship, a parent, a child, a teenager. It doesn't matter. Once we take that on, whew, it becomes magic. So remember that word art coming out of heart.
Mm-hmm.
Beauty,
Yeah.
beauty, beauty, beauty. Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me of something I thought of saying earlier, and I kind of forgot. When you're in that loving, open-hearted place, also that's your most resourceful place in the moment.
It
In the
is.
moment, you know, in that space, it is the place where all of the insights are going to come to you. It is that, to me, it is heart and
Absolutely.
soul. So your soul is going to speak to you there. And I think
Absolutely.
it can really help to understand that too, that
Absolutely.
people are confused and stressed and wondering, well, what are the answers to
Mhm.
all of these questions I have about my life. That's where they are, in
Exactly.
that moment when you can be in the present with, in a loving space, because love is connectedness with
It sure is. It
resources,
sure
with
is.
everything, with the
Yeah,
resources of the universe, basically.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That heart holds, once we start receiving, once we start opening ourselves up, it's like that flower again. It starts just germinating and starts, what we feed it, what water that we have as a human being. Again, it's that part of, once we start asking the body, again, going into the body mode, going into that heart place, it's going to give you a yes or a no, and you're going to hear it right away. But it's not going to be a maybe, because if it's a maybe, you're in mind. The heart does not say, well, maybe. It says yes or no. And then we go up here, and then we confirm that whatever we ask, that makes sense. Was it healthy? Well, hey, we can ask anything, we could receive anything, because is it going to be healthy? So it's got to be healthy. That's the trick of everything, right? Whatever you're
Right.
asking, it's got to be healthy. It needs to be healthy, because it can be unhealthy and say, oh yeah, it said yes. It's like, we need
Wait
to
a
go
minute.
up here. Did it really make sense? No. It's like, okay, well, we need to transverse and start seeing I need to investigate, right? But it
Right.
never lies to your heart, is because of the pureness. There's nothing negative that lives in there. So no, it's the best place to be.
Right.
It is heart
It also
centered.
understands that what you were saying about recognizing how special and magnificent we are. It is the heart knows.
It sure does.
You can have your head can say all these things. Well, you're too this. You're not enough that. You're not
Yep.
you're not tall enough. You're too old. You're too young. You're too something. You don't have this. You have too much of that.
Yep.
But
Yep.
the heart
Oh, it's
understands.
I'll give you something very special. I work with a lot of suicidal people. And, when they give me that call and they say, hey, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. And then I always ask them, hey, who's really calling? Is it you?
Interesting.
And then I say, you know what? It's your soul reaching out. It's reaching out because it said it doesn't want out. come and see me. So if I'm in crisis at the hospital setting, the ambulance brings that patient in, we sit down. Do you know how special you are? Your soul wants you here. What can we do? What kind of plan can we work out? And wow, it's just amazing what happens. And they figure out, what? Oh my God, how come I called you? Or how come I called this crisis line? It's the soul part. Ooh, that connectedness to life, knowing that, hey, you know what?
Beautiful.
We can figure this out. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Angele. This has been really special.
Yes, it has been. I loved being with you and all of your guests. Of all of your guests.
So, for those who are watching, if they want to learn more about you or connect with you, how would they do that?
Okay, I'm on Facebook. The holistic side of things is Eden's Healing Therapeutic Touch. Just put that in your search box. You'll find me there.
On Facebook, you put.
Yeah, on Facebook. Yeah, I'm on
Facebook. We have you by your name. So what? I didn't understand. Eden's Therapeutic Touch.
Eden's Healing.
Eden's Healing
Touch. Yeah. So if you would go on that site, that's the holistic site, holistic side of therapy. And on my other home business, the psychotherapy part is called the ABCs of Inner Insights with an S.com. You'll find me on Google search.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So
wonderful.
So once you see my picture, once you get on my page, you're gonna know it's me. It's like, oh yeah, I remember her.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Angele.
You're so welcome. It was just a pleasure being with you today, Jane.
Wonderful.
This evening.
Yeah, thanks. And I want to just finish with a few notes. Remember, with the keys and strategies that we share on this show, like the one today, which is to me the ultimate, connecting with that love in your heart. The ultimate goal is to put them to use so you can create a more joyful, soulful, and fulfilling life. So if you enjoyed this show as much as we did, we hope you'll join us next week and invite some of your friends. It's more fun also to make these social changes or soulful changes together. And as you add more of these strategies to your daily routine, your life can change in miraculous ways. Even this one is really, I think, the foundation to me. So remember, the focus this week is understanding yourself as a whole, body, mind, and spirit. And if you want to know more, you can find out about our courses, books, and other offerings on our extensive website at gettingthrough.org/holistic. We also want you to know that we and our guests value your support. You know how to reach Angele. And for Awakening Institute, we want you to know that tuition for courses and other purchases support our mission of helping to create a more loving world. And you can share this message of love with those around you, which then together we can actually change the world, as Angele suggested. Yes, so with that, I want to say have a wonderful, loving, happy week. And thanks again, Angele, for being here with us.
You as well. You as well.